Last week, I got obsessed with researching how different game developers are using TikTok to market their games, so I thought I'd turn that into a video. Hopefully this will save you time when you're figuring out if a platform is for you, and maybe give you a broader view of what types of content work on the platform. I'm also working on another video where I'm going to give a day-by-day analysis of my channel's growth, so follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and subscribe to this channel if you want to be reminded when that comes out. So before I present you with my small case studies on individual creators, here's some things you should know about TikTok itself. So first off, the For You page is where most people will encounter your work. The way it works is that the audience tells TikTok which videos they like, and then the algorithm decides what the user sees based on those interests. So when you see like views on like people's accounts, don't take that as the same thing as a YouTube view. Think of it more as an impression. Another thing is that the algorithm will show your older content to people a lot more readily than on YouTube, which is great because the videos that you spend time making aren't going to just completely disappear. But it's a little bit difficult to figure out how a channel has grown over time because of this. Also, it seems that likes, follows, and comments are more freely given than on Twitter, which is actually pretty awesome. For each of these case studies, I'm going to introduce the person, show you one of their TikToks, one that is either typical of their content or in some way like really exceptional, and then I'll give you some information about the channel which might not be self-evident or just might be like an observation on my part. I'm going to start by looking at the most popular game devs on the platform, and then I'll move into more niche people. So the first person I'll show you is @QuasiTV, who are making Shotgun Farmers. This person is the biggest developer on the platform.
We've actually got a whole bunch of YouTubers and content creators in Shotgun Farmers, like H2O Delirious, Terrorizer, Dicey the Nogla, The Legend Vanos Gaming, Sidearms for Reasons, Doggybone Gaming, One of Wisdom, Stumped Gaming, and BitGamer, which is one of my favorite ones. And we can't forget the zombie legend. Enter the code ZOMBEAR to get the Zombear head.
So the thing about this guy is that he's so popular that when you look up the game dev hashtag, he's like the only person that comes up. You have to scroll for like, 20 minutes before you get anyone else. That's not the worst thing in the world because 99% of your audience isn't finding you through actually searching the hashtags. It's just difficult to find other people like right off the bat. So don't be discouraged by that. When I looked into Shotgun Farmers on YouTube, it kind of seemed like the game was already popular with a bunch of kind of kid-friendly YouTubers before he started making TikToks. So I'm not sure how much we should be comparing ourselves to this guy. But I will say that having made a couple TikToks now, I think this guy's doing a really good job at making the videos compelling, even if they don't take a lot of time to make. I would say if you were going to make TikTok a big part of your marketing platform, then yeah, take notes from this guy because he kind of knows what he's doing. The next developer is @IndieRich. From what I've seen, all of this guy's videos are sort of in a similar style where he's just responding directly to comments, which seems like a good format for making content which people actually want to see because you've actually been asked for it. Like with Shotgun Farmers, this game already had some traction to it before he started making TikToks. But I also think that the aesthetic of the game itself might play into why this is doing so well on the platform. The aesthetic is sort of AAA-ish, which is something I imagine teenage boys responding well to. In their bio, they have a link to their game's Discord server, and when I looked, it had about 5,000 people joined up, and the game on Steam has about 2,300 reviews. So I don't know how much that has to do with TikTok itself. I imagine quite a bit because it seems to be their biggest platform, but who knows. Next up is @JackALondy with The People's Game.
In my last video, you all gave ideas for our moon map, and what I realized after reading through all the comments is that we're really building the foundation for a world of different maps and game modes. One problem with that is that our world doesn't really feel connected. I saw one comment a while ago that really stuck with me, and that was the request to add a train to the game. And since you have this room that you can customize in between games, I figured why not stick that thing on a train and have it transport you between the maps. And if you're playing with friends, you can even walk between train cars instead of just transporting into people's rooms. What other maps and game modes would you like to see added to this world?
So here we have someone who is all in on TikTok. You know, like the entire identity of the game revolves around audience suggestions. For me personally, I don't think I would ever want to use this specific method of incorporating player feedback. It seems like just having people come up with ideas without actually playing the game itself is wrong in some way. I don't know. I think one thing this account illustrates is that because most people are going to find your work via the For You page, you need to spend a lot more time making sure that people who are encountering you for the first time know what your game idea is. So you saw him in that video recap what the purpose of the game is and what he did last time. He basically starts every TikTok like that. So now I'm going to focus on people who are more on the influencer end of the spectrum, by which I mean they're just more willing to put their face and personality kind of front and center. So let's get started with @Maureen.
Choose your character.
Unlike all the other developers I've shown you, it seems like this person doesn't have any specific game that they're trying to sell. They just want to share what it's like to be a game dev, and I think that's kind of cool. Next we have @NeoSolaris.
Can get weirder. I just washed my hands. That's why they're wet. No other reason.
You want a beer? He's 4! I don't know, what am I supposed to do?
So this creator is very similar to the last one, except where the last developer kind of felt more like a professional mentor, this creator feels more like a friend who just so happens to be in the game industry. I'm not sure if this is useful to you if you're trying to market a game, but I think it's important to keep an eye out on what the entire landscape of game dev TikTok is, even if it doesn't directly relate to what you're doing. Next is @Boberia.
We've got 2 new characters for my boba game. This is one of our customer characters. He's so cute and kawaii. We've got a dark academia customer. After she orders in your cafe, she'll sip her boba and sit down and enjoy a great book. This is her boba sipping face. Who else should I make?
I think this game is a good example of how even if your game doesn't like hit that typical Fortnite playing audience, it can still gain a lot of traction on TikTok. If I was going to guess, I would say that this game's kind of uwu kawaii aesthetic makes it a good fit for TikTok because that's already a thing people are interested in on the platform. Also, the videos are good and clear and authentic. Her game is actually already out, so I looked on the App Store to see how well it was doing, and it seemed to have about 200 ratings, which is quite good. And I think we can attribute that success completely to TikTok, because I haven't been able to find this developer anywhere else online, and also many of the reviews mention TikTok. Next is Alex Clark Games.
Let's talk more about switches because I could honestly talk about them for hours. All of the switches are physics objects. That means you can use any other physics object in order to interact with them. The normal physics object to be using is of course your hands. So you can just use your finger to flick the switch, or maybe you want to do this quickly or slowly, or use your entire hand, or maybe you want to use 2 fingers at once if you're really cool. Point is, you can use your hands in lots of different ways. You don't have to just use your hands. If you're really good at throwing, which I'm not, but if you were, you could throw a Ziggy at the exact angle to make it bounce off of something and hit the switches and turn off all your lights just by throwing a Ziggy. You can also pick up a physics object such as this cassette and use that to flick the switches on and off. If you want to wishlist us, it's really appreciated. Search Ziggy's Cosmic Adventures into Steam.
So this is clearly someone who's putting a lot of effort into their videos, almost to the point where I'm thinking maybe it's too much effort. One of the things that is attractive for me to TikTok is that it doesn't take that much time to make stuff. Also, I don't know how relevant this is, but I would be interested to see the gender split on an audience like this. And I only say that because this guy's giving me big, like 2010 English YouTuber energy. I kind of think VR is in a weird place right now where it's sort of aspirational. A lot of people want VR headsets, but they don't necessarily have the money or space for that to be practical. So in situations like that, I think it's often common for people to seek out videos of other people experiencing it. They're kind of living vicariously. And this is fine, but I do wonder what the conversion rate is between fans of this person's marketing content and people who are actually going to buy their game when it comes out. Next is at Dark Deity Game. So this is an example of a guy who's using trends to promote their work. To be honest, I think if I try to do something like this, it would come across as a bit insincere, but he seems to be having a lot of fun doing this. It's also important to note that I think this guy had a successful Kickstarter before making TikToks. So there's a little bit of an audience which was already imported from somewhere else, but not like a huge amount. I'm going to switch gears now and focus more on people who like to show their process. These people tend to show their personality, but it's always in service of showing the work they've done. So next up is at Colby Game Dev.
Here's how a game developer might code the throwing of a grenade. The first thing that happens is the player presses a button and begins the grenade getting thrown. So here we see the code that says if the player presses the button, it checks to see if the player is able to throw a grenade based on the cooldown, and then it throws the grenade. Then we see a muzzle flash effect gets played, a sound effect, and then it gets the grenade ready to be thrown in the projectile shot function. Then here in the projectile shot function, we figure out the direction and the angle that the grenade should be thrown in. Then finally in the launch function, we set the position of the grenade to the position in front of the barrel, enable the game object, and then apply the force in the correct direction. There are many different ways for a game developer to achieve this effect, but I just wanted to show how something as simple as throwing a grenade has so many steps involved. Next time I'll show the coding involved when the grenade damages the enemies. Let me know in the comments if you found this informative, and make sure you like, share, and follow for more game dev concepts.
So this is an example of someone showing off their coding process, which I haven't seen a ton of people do, and I think that's because it's not as visually interesting, but it seems to work here. On to at Ecoplanet Game. So yeah, this is someone who focuses more on modeling, and they seem to get a decent amount of views on that, and a lot of comments. But I looked on Steam, and it seems like their game doesn't have any user reviews, so I don't know what's up with that. So this guy isn't exactly a game dev person, but I decided to put him in because just his focus on humor seems to be what sets him apart from everyone else.
The reason most of my artworks turn into some sort of a garbage monkey pile of alien doo-doo is because of this part. And I'll just go off and do some shit post of an artwork. And but those are funny, man. Those are some of the better artworks.
So next up is quite a small account. I only found out about them because they liked some of my videos. It's at Panacelli.
So I just added a tile map, which is all great and stuff, but I realized the tiles are smaller than my collision checking.
So as you saw, he's kind of just new to game dev, but even so, he's got a couple videos which have quite a few views on them, not like a crazy amount. So I guess it just goes to show you don't need to be like really skilled in order to make content which people want to see. Next category, gameplay purists. So these are just people that literally just show the game. First is at Athenian Rhapsody.
Put doggy in fight. Trust doggy wins. Doggy do big damage him winning the fight. It okay he winning.
So I'm including this creator because their game looks a lot like Undertale, and I think that's why people gravitated towards it. And because of that, it seems like a lot of the comments are like of little kids. So I would say if you're going to get into TikTok, be aware that you might be making an adult game, but just because of the way kids sort of work, like they might become your main audience, which sucks because kids don't have any money to spend, right? Now on to Causley Flowers. I don't really have much to say about this other than Cloud Gardens is the only game I've seen on TikTok which I already knew about. Now on to @Mochitoki. So what's interesting about this account is that they only have a couple videos, but they managed to get quite a lot of views. So I think this might be because the game was already big on Twitter. You know, if you're making a game which is already getting a lot of likes and retweets on Twitter, then you may as well just put it on TikTok as well, even if that's not going to be like something you want to commit to long term. Now on to @DavigoGame. Again, this developer doesn't have a lot of videos, but the one you just saw has like 1 million views, which honestly makes sense to me because this game idea is so extremely simple, but also obviously compelling. One thing that really surprised me was that this game has a Patreon and it's making like $3,000 a month. Looking into like the Patreon stats, it seems like they had a big spike in revenue right as this video went viral. Last in this category, it's @DevPatchy. Most of the games we've seen have been like really in your face, and I think this is a good example of a game which is just melancholy and chill and still able to find an audience. The final category of the notes that I took yesterday is just weird things. It's not that people making it are weird or the games are weird, it's just a weird emergent property of TikTok like causing weirdness. You'll see. Up first is @bygone.games. So that video has about 200k views, and I have no idea how that happened. It's like I looked at his Instagram, basically no one's on it. For YouTube it's the same. I have no idea. I guess it could be bots, I don't know. But he hasn't really capitalized on it, so that kind of sucks for him, I guess. Next up is @Genferry, and this video itself isn't that weird, but some things in his account is, so I'll just show you this first. So that's pretty entertaining. But then he also has this video, which got like a ton of views. So yeah, that obviously doesn't have anything to do with game development. It's cool. Looking through the other videos, it seems like he's not getting as many views on his game dev stuff as other people are getting, and that might have to do with the fact that like all the audience which came from that big video might not really be interested in game development. So something to keep in mind. So that's about it for all my notes. There was one account I saw which was interesting, which I'm not really sure if I should platform, Basically, it was just like a kind of a typical mobile developer, except the person doing the voiceover was like a 6-year-old kid. I scrolled through all the videos to his first video, and it was like a 30-year-old person doing the video. So he must have figured out that like having a kid like explain how to do game development would gain a bigger audience, which I guess makes sense. But I don't know if you'd really want to do that. Also, I saw a Reddit post about one account which apparently got really popular just by like pretending it was like a legitimate game development studio, then just incorporating everybody's ideas into this fictional video game which was never going to get made to like get views on TikTok, I guess. I don't know, maybe that was fake, but I think it illustrates something which could be true. So yeah, that's basically all my notes. Thank you for watching. If you have any other creators that you've seen that you think are interesting, then post it into the comments, because I think that'll be useful to everyone else who's watching. Also, if you know anyone who you think would be interested in this video, then maybe share it with them, and I would appreciate that. Cool. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.